So let's look at something that's going to hopefully fit in nicely with a lot of the stuff we've been doing this week. Look at the cross grip position. So we talked about a lot of the attacks this week about how we need our partner's elbow line across. If we had an imaginary line going down our bodies, the elbow line needs to go across that before we can start attacking with a lot of stuff. And there's a couple of ways to do that. The first one is to move the elbow across the center line. The other way to do that is to move the center line past the elbow. And this set of techniques is going to rely on a combination of both. So we're going to start with a cross pocket grip here. And a grip, what will normally happen is when you pull the pocket grip, this little flap of material makes itself available for you to take a really strong second grip here. And because you have two grips, not only can you move the elbow, but you also have a little bit of control over where the shoulders go in too. So I'm looking to bring this across, and at the same time, I'm going to move my center line out. I'm trying to create as much distance here as possible. So I'm looking to try and access the back. Now, as long as my arm is bent, this is a strength battle. So Seymour can pull his arm back, across. So as long as both our arms are bent, this is a strength battle here. So let's try and mitigate that as well. We get the arm across the center line. And we're going to look to push. I turn my wrist over, push, and straighten my arm. Now, once your arm is straight, this arm is very difficult for them to bring this back. Yeah, because this is a skeletal structure now. It doesn't really matter who's stronger. Open the guard. With the leg that's on the outside, just going to pendulum it and sit up. Grab under the far side lat. Now, we did this yesterday. Seymour knows now that his back is under threat, and so he might try and because he can't get this elbow back because I'm so tight to him, there's a high possibility that he'll try and drive straight back into me. And if he does, that opens up the flower sweep that we covered yesterday. But once you're here, it's very difficult now for your partner to come back. Because you can put some weight on this, which makes it difficult for him to lift his hand off. As long as I stay in tight here, I'm not giving him an opportunity to turn back in towards me. And we're going to can we just spin around this way a little bit? To finish the back take, I'm going to look for a cheeky grip that Mauricio showed me once. All gis, not kids' gis though, unfortunately, all gis have this little loophole here. If you put two fingers in here, this gives you a super strong grip on the hip. And now we can just shrimp our hips out to make space. Pull our partner over, work the hooks in to seatbelt grip, start taking them back. Let's look at another option from here. When there are times when the back take can feel messy and it can feel difficult to finish, and it will happen sometimes that you'll get to here, but you just end up in this, especially if the guy's a lot bigger and stronger, you end up in this backwards forwards battle of them pushing back into you, and you'll keep trying to get up and they keep pushing into you. It can be a bit of a mess. There's an easy way to finish this, not with a back take, but a sweep. So we've got our grip held here. We've got our arm out straight. Now, I'm going to open the guard, shrimp away. Once I do, I'm going to do the same thing of penduluming is, I don't know if that's a word, but penduluming up. But I want to come up onto this grip hand, which will hopefully pin Seymour's hand to the floor. Come up onto the grip hand. It's very difficult for him to lift this now. Now I can just come out completely. Seymour has two options here now. He can either let me progress to the back, or more likely, he's going to roll back to the guard. And there's a sweep, 2 points. So, one more time. We get our cross grip, we get it across. There's a bit of a battle here. He's pushing in, it's not working. Just open your guard, come all the way out, put all your weight on it. With this position here, he has to sit to guard, or he has to let you take his back. It's a really cheap sweep. We're setting up the same position here. this cross grip. If normally I'll go after the hand that's on my collar. You might need to break a grip here in order to get this. But there's a couple of important distinctions that I've learned along the way about how to move the arm. And again, if the guy's bigger and stronger, as they often are, a straight up static strength battle, sometimes even with me having a 2-on-1, if Wayne stays strong, this can be really difficult for me to move. Yeah. More often than not, I get a lot more success using jerky movements. So we stay strong here, jerk it. Yeah. But you can use this static strength battle to your advantage. Rather than jerking, if you just make this a I'm pulling and he's pushing, I'm pulling and he's pulling move. Look what happens when I let go. He leans back. And we can use this to set up a nice hip bump sweep, but without reaching over. Remember when we talked about sweeps, we said you need the sweep mechanic, but you also need the post removal mechanic. Now in this instance, I already have the post removal mechanic because I have this hand trapped, which is the side that I'm going to sweep to. So I'm pulling, and I want to make this a static strength battle. So he's pulling really hard, I'm pulling really. I'm not jerking this. I'm going to open the guard and up, sit up, and try and hit your partner as high up the chest as possible. Come over, and because you already had the hand, and because they're already pulling in that direction, the post is gone, and you should be able to come straight over up into mat. So one more time. Right here, I'm looking for this cross grip. I've got everything set up, and I'm going to just make this a static strength battle. This works a lot, really, really well when a guy knows that he's stronger than you, and he's like trying to break your will by just pulling. When the time comes, come over. Important mechanic on the hip bump sweep is we've got to hit our partner as high up as possible. I see it sometimes people make the mistake of trying to hip bump sweep down here. He's very strong down here. Just think about the fact that you're trying to push your partner over, and if you're face to face, if I push Wayne here, he doesn't move. But every couple of inches I go up, it becomes an easy pushover. So we want our hips to come up and be high. So we use this grip to pull ourselves up, and big bump. Want to get up as high as possible. Is that good? Let's give it a go. 1, 2, 3. Maybe you got the timing wrong. Maybe you're just with someone who's really good. But as you go for the hip bump, they drive back in. This is a common response to the hip bump sweep is I go to hip bump and he starts driving back in forwards and he goes to kill the hip bump sweep. So maybe you're with an opponent who's good like that. But because of the way that this grip is set up, he's pulling back, I'm pulling back. Look, if I go up to hip bump and he drives back in, he almost takes me straight to his back. So we're in that first position that we wanted to be in the first place. It's different than when you hip bump from the inside out and go here, because then they come through onto a body lock. But because you have the cross grip, you're here, they're pulling back, you go to hip bump, they drive back in. It takes you nicely out to round the back. So try that now as well. Start working the hip bump with the cross grip, and your partner's going to see it coming, start driving back in, and as they drive back in, you'll feel yourself be able to drag that arm across. It's quite effortless. All right, give it a go. 1, 2, 3.